Newsflash, lifestyle is out, social architecture is in. I'm Monica Onstead, and I've been building community for 20 years.
I'm Callie Friedman. Monica's dreaming it. I'm tracking it, baby. She's been doing this for 20 years. I'm a little newer here, but we're making a pretty good team.
Absolutely.
Today's episode is going to be all about social architecture. Ooh, that's a big term. What is social architecture, Monica?
Can I read the definition we have for it?
Please. And then we'll do like real human
explain
talk.
it, right? Yeah. So it's the intentional design and structuring of social systems, interactions, and relationships that foster meaningful connections.
Love it. Everybody can rewind if they want to hear that again.
Rewind.
Okay. And then like in real life, real terms, what do we mean by that?
So it's not just buildings and amenities and that hard stuff. You know, we talk about the hardware of a community.
Yeah.
It's not just about that, but it's about the systems, let's say the software of the community that shape how people meet, how they interact, and how they trust over time.
Yes. And when you walk into a place, like there's a feeling you get, right? You know immediately when you walk in somewhere, like this place is alive or this place is dead.
Right.
And there are, what the average person doesn't know is a lot of systems, a lot of thought, a lot of planning went into that feeling of it being alive.
Yeah. And it all started with who we think our buyer is going to be after a ton of research, right? So, you know, it's never about like, oh, I want it to be this. It's about what does our buyer want it to be? What do they need? And then we start planning from there. Yep. So, but that makes you feel like, have you ever been to a place like a dressing room, right? So let's take the example of you're shopping with Ronnie. Mm-hmm. Ronnie is Callie's boyfriend. So you and Ronnie, you're out shopping for clothes for you. You got all these clothes hanging over your arm, or Ronnie, let's be honest, is carrying them for you. And you are going to try them on. Uh-huh. Now, what's Ronnie going to do?
Right.
So like the great stores, right, have a place, not just a chair in the corner, but they've got a place to make Ronnie very comfortable, right?
Yep.
Where he wants to sit. Maybe there's a magazine, or maybe there's some water.
Maybe there's a sign that says what the Wi-Fi password is.
Right. And he's hanging out. He's comfortable. A chair's comfortable, little couch. Maybe there's some other guys in there. They have some conversations. But that's thinking through who's using that fitting room. It's not just the female, right, using that fitting room.
Yep.
It's the female's partner. You not always do shop together, but sometimes you do. And if there's a space that's comfortable, that female is going to try on clothes longer, because then their spouse or significant other is not going to be uncomfortable and bored, right?
So, and then the store makes more money.
Store makes more money.
This is social architecture in real life.
Like, honestly, I mean, if you think about that, if you apply that to the master plan community world, right? I mean, I don't think that anybody goes in to buy land and create a master plan community and not make money, right? Like, you want to make the best community you can, but you also need the return on your investment, right? So if you think about that in terms of the fitting room discussion, right? The example there, it's like, okay, we can drive our retail dollars because of that. And it's the same way in a master plan community setting. It's just different. It's like fitness centers there, right? So let's take that same application and think about fitness centers. I hear all the time, our newer clients would say, do we have to put a fitness center in? Callie, from your Welcome Center business that you do for us, like what do people ask for?
The number one thing people ask for is, first of all, if you're in Texas, where's the closest HEB? But the second biggest question they ask is there going to be a fitness center here?
Right. So a lot of our clients are like, do we really need fitness? You absolutely need fitness, right? I mean, you just got to have it. But what makes fitness work and what makes fitness become social architecture is when you start planning for the operation of the fitness center. I'm not talking about just the hard machines that are going in there, how we're going to operate it when we open up. So if you think about your goal, nobody wants to build something and have our residents not use it, right? We want it to be activated and used. It helps sell the community. It helps keep your, community connected, all of those great things. So by planning not only the hardware of the fitness center, you think about the software too. Hey, am I going to have a personal trainer in there? Are we going to have some fitness one-on-ones? Those type of things. So are we teaching people how to use the equipment? Like, how are we going to talk about it? Are we naming our fitness center? Like, what's our brand around our fitness center? Getting people excited about it, right? Because fitness, for example, it can be a little, if you don't know how to use those machines, it can be really intimidating.
Yeah.
Right. So like we have to teach people how to use amenities and make them comfortable in the space, just like a retail setting might make the spouse comfortable in a fitting room setting.
And that's social architecture.
That is social architecture.
One way of, there's so many ways that social architecture comes into play. Why would you say that master plan communities need to be thinking about social architecture now more than ever before?
Oh, competition is one. I mean, you can get the same floor plan anywhere you want in the country, right? I mean, especially with the national home builders. So you have to really be ready to compete.
And I would say, like, people are, it's the expectation now.
People want it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think, we still talk a little bit about COVID, right? People coming out of COVID, they recognize that maybe they need more people in their lives. Mm-hmm. And we kind of went through a stage and during COVID, this kind of loneliness a little bit. We realized what connection truly means.
Yeah.
And people want it. They want to be connected to one another. They want to know their neighbors.
Yes. I would say when done well, our stance is that social architecture is what creates the conditions for people to find connection.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So another part is a part of social architecture is events. Yes. A lifestyle programming, mm-hmm. but it's not just events.
No, here with On Place, we don't talk about events. We talk about programming. And the reason we do that is because an event is a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Programming you have to string it through the whole year, right? What does our programming look like? And it's really about not just I'm having an event. I'm having, like, what are we doing in the space? What's the rituals? What's the traditions? We're building all of those things. And it's not saying, okay, we're going to have this Easter event every year. It's how are we going to have that Easter event every year? What do we want it to feel like? And then, but we need to be planning that at the raw land stage.
Yeah.
Right? Don't just think that we can have a grain field and that's going to be our Easter. Like, oh, we're going to hunt Easter eggs there. Oh, great. Thanks. Right. There's other things we need to be thinking about. So the social infrastructure piece just really takes it from the design phase all the way to the activation phase.
Yeah. And it's really apparent when, again, you walk into a place and you go to one of these events, you can tell when it's been carefully thought out and not just strung together. I'm thinking of one of our projects, Newfield, on the east coast of Florida in Martin County. You and the client knew from the beginning your vision when it was just, there's nothing there, dirt, is that we want to have a booming, lively farmers market here. Yes. How do we need to curate and design this space in order for that to be a tradition of this community, a ritual for families to attend every week? And you had to think about how is this going to look? What's the layout going to be?
Right. And well, I think it really started with what's our philosophy around our vendors? What do we want to provide? What do we want?
She's proving my point, people. See, she's been doing it for 20 years.
What's our story that we want to tell to the community? Who do we want to let in as a vendor? Right.
Right.
Because you have to be really careful with farmers markets on your mix, but you also have to be really careful on what type of produce, for example. Are you going to go all organic? Are you going to go, there's a lot of questions there. And then there's a lot of research around, certainly in Martin County there, where Newfield is, there's a lot of farmers markets, right? There's a lot of great farmers markets. And so what time of day, how are we drawing people here? A brand new market? Like what's the extras that we're adding in? But then how do we add in extras, but make sure that it doesn't feel like they're just extras, right? Yeah. Like, how does it feel very genuine to who we are at Newfield? And so there's a ton of steps that you go through, and that's the same way for all of the programming, right? It's one of the team members, we have a new community, and they were batting around some ideas the other day around a program. And I'm like, no,
that ain't gonna work,
that's
sister.
not gonna work. That's the sleepiest thing I've ever heard. No. So you really have to think about like all the details around it, but then think, how does it fit back to the brand? How does it fit back to the community?
And that's social architecture.
That's social architecture. Yeah.
So us, OPC, as a brand, if you guys haven't caught on Place Collective, we refer to as OPC. We're cool like that. What are the questions? What are some like basic questions we ask when bringing social architecture to a project? Like if somebody's listening to this right now and they're like, am I thinking about social architecture on this project that I'm working on right now? Like I'm thinking like maybe where do people bump into each other? That's a basic question you can ask yourself.
I think it's the philosophy of the space, right? The use philosophy of the space, right? So for us, we really start brainstorming on how are people going to use the space? Yeah. Let's talk about a playground, right?
Great.
Playground. If I ask you who's going to use the space, the playground, what would you say if you didn't know?
You say kids.
Kids, right? Playgrounds are for kids. All types of kids. There they are. I believe that there's other users in the space and there's other users that you want to pay more attention to than children, because last time I checked with my children, they would play on anything you give them.
Yep.
Right? They don't really care what color it is. If you can
if
climb on it.
It's a $50,000 playground set, but
I wish we could get a $50,000 playground set these days. But like they don't care, right? Like they just don't care. But what truly matters, in my opinion, is that you need to be able to have the parent or the care provider, whoever, they need to be comfortable.
Yeah.
So, because our end goal is to get the playground used, right? To be activated, for people to meet, kids to meet up on the playground, kids to be healthier because they're out running and playing in the sunshine. But if our parents or our caregivers are not comfortable, then they're not going to stay there as long. So we have a lot of parents who work from home these days.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps there's an area where you could bring your laptop to. You know, you got Wi-Fi in your park. If you're building a park right now without Wi-Fi, you need to go back and reconsider.
Yeah.
Because those days are long gone. You need Wi-Fi in your parks. So, you know, there's other opportunities there. So it's really about thinking through the uses and who is going to use the space. And then you start thinking about, okay, this is who's going to use the space. What do they want to do there? And then how do I make them stay longer? Right? How do I make them want to come here? And if you do that right, your playground, your fitness center, all of that, they're going to be full.
Yeah.
And that is social architecture. It's not just about the hard things that we build. It's about the systems and the networks that we put into it. If you think about the way a computer is, right? What makes it work is not your keyboard. It might tell the software what to do because you're telling it, but that's not the function of it. The function's inside that system and the software. And that's what that's the same thing we're trying to convey here from a social architecture perspective. It's not about that playset. It's about how we feel when we see that playset.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. Final piece I'll ask you for this episode on social architecture. If I'm a developer and I'm listening to this, why should I care? Like aside from everything you just said, because everybody should care for all of those reasons, right? Connection and all the things we deeply care about as a community. But if I'm a developer and I care about dollar signs, why do I need to care about this?
Well, I think that there's a number of reasons. One, it's kind of expected today.
Yeah.
Right. And I think you can outpace in terms of sales your competition if you do this right.
Yeah.
I think that, and that's for all programming. That's the parks, the fitness centers, all of that we just talked about. I think that there's a satisfaction rating with residents you're going to receive if you do this right.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about one, for example, as an example I always use is summer camps. We had a community years ago in Northern Virginia where people were stretching to get into their homes, right?
Yeah.
Multi-gen, lots of kids really stretching to get into the homes. And summer rolls around, and what are your kids going to do? And at that time, summer camp was $500 and $600 a week. That's a challenge. That's a lot of money. Challenge, a lot of money. So we built a summer camp for those, and we charged $250 a week, right? So we cut, and you could drop your child off at your clubhouse,
in your community
on your way to work and pick them up on the way back, right? And they got to be home per se in their community, right? And so that is one, like, the pain point. So if we can solve those pain points, and then my point to that is resident satisfaction. If I'm a resident and you're solving a pain point for me, you're doing the unexpected, right? That's a surprise and delight. What am I going to do? I'm going to tell the world. I'm going to shout it to the rooftops or on social media.
Yeah.
Right? How amazing this is.
Yes.
So,
and brand loyalty. When they're ready for another house, they're not going to look elsewhere. They're going to just buy the same product again in the same place.
Right. Right. So, again, it is brand loyalty, the buyer confidence, and stronger sales velocity, and honestly, a more connected community, because people are staying longer. They're coming to amenities more, right? They're more connected with one another. They're meeting people in their neighborhood. And I've seen it time and time again over my 20 years. If you do this right, it is, it's just like a flywheel. You just keep adding and adding and adding to those connections, and your community becomes this amazing place that everyone wants to be.
Social architecture. Get into it, people.